Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Bhajarana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajarana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Vijana Vallabha
Yashodanandana Bhajarana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Bhajarana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Rajana Ranjana
Yamunatira Vanachari
Natira Vanachari
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you, Sankarshan Das Brahmachari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pravikacharya Ashtar Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pravikacharya Astutar Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Maripur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Haranam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll read text 33 and 34, and we'll chant 34 together. 33 does not have a purport. Rita manoratastasya dura swarga patat yadaha pratishrutasya danena yorti nam vipralambate. Translation. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Far from being elevated to the heavenly planets or fulfilling one's desire, one who does not properly give a beggar what he has promised falls down to a hellish condition of life. Text 34. Vripla labdo dadamiti tvayaham chadya manina tad vyalika palam bhunksva nirayam katichit samaha vripalabdo dadamiti tvayaham chadyamanina tadvyalika palam bhunksva nirayam katichit samaha vripalabdo dadamiti tvayaham chadyamanina tadvyalika palam bhunksva nirayam katichit samaha vripalabdo dadamiti tvayaham chadyamanina tadvyalika palam bhunksva nirayam katichit samaha chadyamanina. Dharmaraj Prabhu, you want to try? Vyalika palam bhunksva Mataji. Anyone online would like to chant this verse?
Pralabdo dadamiti tvayaham chadyamanina tadvyalika palam bhunksva nirayam katichit samaha.
Thank you. Synonyms. Ripalabdaha. Now I am cheated. Dadami. I promise I shall give you. Iti. Thus. Tvaya. By you. Aham. I am. Cha. Also. Adyamanina. By being very proud of your opulence. Tat, therefore. Vyalika palam, as a result of cheating. Bhunksva, you enjoy. Nirayam, in hellish life. Katichit, a few. Samaha, years. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Being falsely proud of your possessions, you promised to give me land, but you could not fulfill your promise. Therefore, Because your promise was false, you must live for a few years in hellish life. Purport. The false prestige of thinking I am very rich and I possess such vast property is another side of material life. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and no one else possesses anything. This is the real fact. Isha vasyam idam samam yat kincha jagat yam jagat. Bali Maharaj was undoubtedly the most exalted devotee, whereas previously he had maintained a misunderstanding due to false prestige. By the supreme will of the Lord, he now had to go to the hellish planets. But because he went there by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he lived there more opulently than one could expect to live in the planets of heaven. A devotee always lives with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, engaging in his service, and therefore he is always transcendental to hellish or heavenly residences. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 21st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Bali Maharaj Arrested by the Lord. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanusita Devi Pranamami Hare Pri Vancha Kalpatri Bhishcha Kripa Sandibhye Vacha Patitana Pavinebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you, Mapati. When I was preparing for class, I don't know whether to start with an article written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or say my little kids' realizations. So this false prestige is very prominent, especially in Kali Yuga. Everyone is thinking and convinced that they possess some type of opulence. And although Bali Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, they were born in the same atheistic, demoniac dynasty, they were nonetheless two of the Mahajans, and they exemplify the personification of surrender as well as remembering. Srila Prabhupada, in the Science of Self-Realization, he was speaking to some police officer, and the police officer was telling Srila Prabhupada, I heard that you have a solution to stop or lower the crime rates. And Srila Prabhupada used this example. If you see a jacket on the road, on the side of the road, and you look, but there's no one there standing next to it, you think, oh, this is mine. So Srila Prabhupada says this is stealing. So similarly, although we don't have the qualifications to see Krishna, we think that the things that we have in this world, the things that we possess, is ours. But it actually belongs to Krishna. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions the 8 elements, material elements, including the mind, intelligence, and false egos. And these are Krishna's energy, so we should use them for Krishna's service. And if we don't use them for Krishna's service, and we use them for our own sense gratification, we become a thief. I was telling one devotee in the Krishna lounge that when I was little, there was some restaurant by the Imperial Beach Pier. And after my family had eaten there, on the table there was a $100 bill. And I was a little kid and I was thinking, wow, there's 2 zeros. So I was thinking, this must be a very This must be a very big, a lot of money. So I looked to the left and I looked to the right, and I didn't see anybody. So I stole it. I took this $100 bill. And when I was going home, that's when I realized, wait, someone paid for their meals for this, you know. What have I done? So I felt so bad. And I think I gave the money to my parents. And when they asked, where did you get this? I said, oh, I found it. My dad, he chastised me. He said, this is someone else's money. So similarly, we're taking things that should be used for Krishna service, but we're accepting it as ours. So pratishta, or false prestige, is defined as a misguided and inflated sense of self-importance, status, or achievement that is not rooted in genuine worth or accomplishment, but rather in external appearances, material possessions, or false claims. It can manifest as arrogance, vanity, or a misleading self-image that hinders true spiritual or personal growth and can lead to dissatisfaction and disconnect from reality. So unless one is self-realized, he has this false prestige. And basically everyone is described as having these traits: inflated sense of self-importance, status, and false claims. And this false prestige, it can even enter into devotional service. Sometimes you see it very big kirtaniyas, you know, they want to, my spiritual master, His Holiness Bhadrinarayan Swami Maharaj, he said that now kirtans, they're more like performances. The kirtaniyas, they want to show off their voice. And when you look at the guests, they can't even follow the tune, because the lead singer, he's just listening to his own voice, you know. So when it enters devotional life, it can make something spiritual very mundane. If someone's a very good cook, you know, he's looking for that recognition. If someone knows how to play the mridanga, they want to show that off. And also when it comes to giving classes, you know, I think His Grace Rajendra Nandana Prabhu, he mentioned some class that some devotee was giving class, and every time someone would give him a compliment, he would have a very big smile. But a devotee feels that actually this ability to give a nice class is due to the mercy of my spiritual master, due to the mercy of Krishna. But when one becomes falsely proud, it leads to a fall down. Srila Prabhupada would say that also. So we don't know that everything belongs to Krishna. Krishna says that I am the ability in man. So we should contemplate on this. And when one understands that Krishna is the beneficiary of all sacrifice and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, then that person can attain peace. But those that don't, how can they have peace and inner happiness? Nor do they have a steady mind or controlled senses. And because they're always fearful of losing their possessions, how can they be at peace? It's not possible. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes that having the quality of false prestige to be demoniac. And although Bali Maharaj, he was born in an atheistic family, Vamanadev wanted to glorify the quality of the greatness of his devotees, like Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj, he's the personification of surrender, Atmanivedanam. And as soon as Vamanadev took the entire universe, Bali Maharaj did not protest. And he actually went against his spiritual master's order. And he surrendered everything completely. So this is very difficult for a lot of people, to be able to give up certain things that we're attached to or what we identify with. And this becomes the stumbling block in Krishna consciousness. And also people can't give up their conception. I was speaking to a nice person at the Krishna Lounge, and he kept saying two things. One is that we're all one, and the second one is that everyone needs to reach enlightenment. So it sounds like a Mayavadi/Buddhist conception. And when I asked him how can we achieve this, he didn't have an answer. And I told him that Srila Prabhupada, this is actually what he's already doing this, changing the minds and hearts of the people of Kali Yuga. In the Bhagavatam, it says that those with sufficient intelligence, they take up or they participate in the Sankirtan movement. And I asked him, where did you get this information that we're all one? And he said, by research. And I said, by research, we can be misled. So he accepted that. And he appreciated Kirtan, so I just asked him to keep coming to the Krishna Lounge, chanting with us, and to take prasadam. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says that this divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of nature, is very difficult to overcome. So all of us have these tendencies, which we've acquired when we came in contact with the three modes. Srila Prabhupada, he used this funny example, that in the beach you'll find many dogs. And they're proudly jumping and thinking that I have got full independence. But they're actually controlled by their nature. A tiger cannot go against his nature that Prakriti has given to him. So he must eat the flesh of other animals and drink blood, because that is the type of body that he has acquired. Similarly, every one of us is being controlled by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And we can overcome these conditions. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says that these three modes are also competing with one another. I heard one devotee said, man, I feel like I'm in the mode of goodness. And they told me later on, but after that day, I was just in the mode of passion and ignorance. And we can observe through our own consciousness that sometimes we feel like, we're really good devotees, sincere, very humble. And then sometimes that false prestige or pride creeps in. Srila Prabhupada, he would also explain that the living entity is under a spell. His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami, he was explaining that the word spell, it makes him think of a witch. Is that a saying in India, Ramapati Prabhu? Like a witch, she casts spells? Okay. Growing up, you hear that, that there's a witch and she would cast spells, she would take over your mind and convince you to do things. So similarly, the living entities were under a spell. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling us, Jiv Jago, Gauri Chandra Bole. Kota Nidra Jao Maya Pishachira Kole. Lord Gauranga is calling, wake up, sleeping soul. Wake up. You have slept so long on the lap of the witch Maya. So we're under the spell of the witch called Maya. And this witch, that's actually her duty, is to help us forget that we're eternal servants of Krishna. And we are enjoyers of this world. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions this false thinking that, I'm free, I am the master, I possess vast properties. But when we can accept that everything belongs to Krishna's service, we can actually become peaceful. And it leads to proper renunciation, yukta vairagya, where we can use everything in Krishna's service. Srila Prabhupada also used an example that by nature a son is very respectful and appreciates his father. But in a deranged condition, the child will disrespect his father, maybe even harm his father. So out of madness, they disrespect their father. And that's what we see also. Instead of respecting Krishna and appreciating Krishna's mercy, we challenge Krishna. And we even want to, like Srila Prabhupada says to the Buddhists, that they want to dismantle Krishna. But a nice child will appreciate their father. So, just like Bali Maharaj, he was thinking that whatever was in his possession was his. But Krishna has given Mukunda Charana Prabhu, he was saying how there's a difference between facilities or opulence given by Krishna, and there's also a difference between the material opulence that one has earned through their karma. And the opposite of false prestige is manitvam, humble and meek. And we also see this, that false prestige, even devotees, it can lead to a fall down. And the two examples that come to mind is Indra, King Indra. He was very proud of his position, and he completely forgot who Krishna was. And he wanted to kill the inhabitants of Vraj, Vrindavan. You know, imagine that. You know, not even wanted to. Lord Brahma, he wanted to play a trick on Krishna, and you know, he kidnapped the cowherd boys and calves. And then, but whereas Indra, he wanted to really kill the inhabitants. And then Krishna, after humbling him, King Indra offered these wonderful prayers. So Krishna, he does not like his devotees to become proud. Even the exalted gopis, they were proud that they were having Krishna's association. And then Krishna disappeared. So one should remember that Trinada Pisuni Chena Tura Apisa Hishnana, that one should be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, and we should offer respects to others, but not expect any respect for oneself from others. And then when one has this wonderful mentality, then one can easily chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So pride is a material qualification, and being humble is a spiritual qualification. And Srila Prabhupada mentions this false prestige that everything is lost, everything gone immediately. So in spite of his all good qualifications, if he is simply proud, then everything becomes zero. One of the last points I want to bring up is that a devotee is transcendental to the happiness in the heavenly planets and transcendental to the suffering in the hellish planets. So many religions now, they try to use fear. Sankarshan and I were at this Indian store. It's not the Miramar cash and carry, what is the other one? Akshar, yeah. And we were paying for the boga. And this black body Mataji, she was kind of hovering around us, and she was saying, Jesus is the Lord, you know. He's the only one that can save you. You know, you should repent for your sins. Yeah. So I asked her, maybe you should stop sinning, you know. Because a lot of people, that's one of the reasons why they pursue a religion, is because they're afraid of going to hell. But the devotees, even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says he doesn't even want liberation. So the devotees have these very exalted qualifications. I remember I brought back this $1 billion bill. It was a fake $1 billion bill. And someone gave it to me on Sankirtan. And it says, the billion-dollar question, and we turn towards the back is, are you going to heaven or hell? You know. So I put this on the table, and Dainiri Prabhu, he said, we don't care about heaven or hell, you know. We just care about serving Krishna. And that's the truth, you know. Heaven or hell, let me serve Krishna. And in the purport, it says, but because he went there by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he lived there more opulently than one could expect to live in the planets of heaven. So heaven or hell, the devotee doesn't care where he resides. Because when he's thinking of Krishna, it's like Vaikuntha. So I want to end by reading this nice article by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The article is called Renunciation of Pratishta. The more we, this is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The more we strive for spiritual progress, the more religious we try to become. The more vows and renunciation we take, the more knowledge we acquire. The stronger and stronger our hearts are defiled and our actions invaded by the desire for respect and fame. No matter how much effort we put into suppressing lust, anger, greed, depression, delusion, and no matter what kinds of austerities we undergo to control the senses, in the heart quietly grows a little snake, the thirst for pratishta, recognition or prestige. I learn Ashtanga Yoga and wait to be recognized as a yogi. If someone says that all my yoga is just like the art of putting on a show, anger immediately flares up in me. After studying many scriptures, I try to merge with the existence of Brahman. If someone says that all my efforts are pointless, I immediately feel provoked and start criticizing back. Having mastered control of mind and senses, moderation, honesty, and other virtues, I live a pious family life, fulfilling my duties to God and to my fellow beings. But if someone says that all my karma kanda is just a meaningless waste of time and effort, I immediately feel offended. For if someone touches my pratishta, all joy in life seems lost. What peace or shanti can karmis, jnanis, or yogis find who are relentlessly chasing either pleasure or liberation? It's clear that they cannot give up the desire for pratishta. But for Vaishnavas who seek neither sense gratification nor liberation from suffering, to desire respect and honor is utterly unworthy. Those who now hold positions as acharyas in Vaishnava Dharma are unable to tolerate even the slightest disrespect toward themselves. In front of everyone, they rush to place their feet on the head of anyone who bows to them, just to display their prestige. There is nothing wrong with offering respect to the acharya, but what awaits the one who seeks respect for himself? And how low it is to get angry with someone who does not offer you full prostration. Well-mannered people, out of respect, see acharyas on a separate asana. Those who do this honor the acharya in full accordance with Shastra. But how sad it is when the acharya bursts into rage if someone else sits on their asana. The reason for this is the thirst for pratishta. Some Vaishnavas leave family life and accept bhik, or robes of renunciation, fearing the pride that always accompanies prosperity and home comforts. People seeking freedom from temptation leave the world and take the robes of a renunciate. But in such a state, pride only arises with renewed force. If a person in sannyasi robes is not shown respect, he becomes terribly irritable. If the desire for pratishta remains even among Vaishnavacharyas and sannyasis, then what hope is there for the rest of us to be freed from pride? After long reflection on this matter and gathering the instructions of the great souls, we understand that until there is renunciation of pratishta, we cannot become true Vaishnavas. Humility in words alone will not do. We say, I am not even worthy to serve the servant of the Vaishnavas. Yet in our hearts, we hope that by hearing such words, people consider us pure devotees. My God, this desire for pratishtha just will not leave us. Therefore, the great Vaishnav, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami said from his Manashiksha, text 7, the meaning of this shloka is, how can the chaste, holy prema touch my heart if inside it shamelessly dances with that woman who eats dog's meat? The desire for pratishtha. Therefore listen, O mind, serve the incomparable commander of your Lord Krishna. Serve the Shuddha Vaishnav. Very soon he will drive this harlot out of the temple of your heart and bring in prema. What can we learn from these words of the great Vaishnavas? We can understand that merely studying books, listening to advice from people who have no prema, or performing bodily yoga exercises will never free us from the desire for pratishtha, recognition, and prestige. It will only leave us in association of pure Vaishnavas, and in serving them, it will surely go away forever. Let us dedicate ourselves to the main task of our lives, seeking out a pure Vaishnav, associating with them and serving them. Through association with Vaishnavas, holiness will enter our hearts, and all that is low and base will completely disappear. When the heart becomes pure, a ray of sun of prema shining in the heart of a sadhu Vaishnav will enter our heart and grow until it becomes prema itself. And there is no other way. This is the only and natural path to holiness. All other attempts will fail. The essence is this: to acquire the qualities of a saint is the only deliverance from our lower nature. Only the purest souls who know nothing and no one except Krishna are able to experience what prema truly is. For others, prema does not reside within them. Prema is transferred from soul to soul, just as one cloud charges another with electricity. When, through association, prema is transmitted from the soul of a Vaishnav to the soul of another jiva, the lower nature leaves the jiva's heart, and before prema itself enters, holiness comes in. All saintly qualities are companions of prema. Therefore, before prema enters, they hurry ahead and purify the heart. The desire for pratishtha must be driven out by sadhu sangha. Okay. Thank you for listening. It's 8:27. We have some minutes for questions, comments, or reflections. It's from an article by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Renunciation of Pratishtha. Yeah. And when I read it, I was kind of laughing because, yeah, people may practice some type of yoga, but they want recognition. People may put on saffron robes, but then they still want to be recognized, that they're some great personality. Anyone online?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, I think Balaram Prabhu. Okay, go ahead, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Govardhan Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind and about pranams. Prabhu, do you mind reading again the last sentence of the translation?
Therefore, because your promise was false, you must live for a few years in hellish life.
Yes, that is the sentence. And this, thank you very much, you're most kind. This sentence reminds me of the 4 defects of the conditional living entity. And you know better than me, they are imperfect senses, committing mistakes, falling into illusion and the cheating propensity. So based on all of this, my question would be, how do you explain that in the conditioned living entity, the propensity for cheating is present? That would be my question.
So how can you tell if the cheating propensity is in the living entity? Is that what you asked?
No, I'm asking, how do you explain that such a tendency, such a propensity is there in the conditioned living entity?
Okay.
What is the reason for it to be there?
Everyone in this world, they want to seem very smart. They want to seem very knowledgeable. And even if they don't know, they still claim that they know. Just like Srila Prabhupada, when he was speaking to some religion, or a teacher that was teaching religion or Hinduism or something like that. And he asked a question, and he said, I don't know. So he asked one of his disciples, what does this mean? When a teacher is teaching something, but they don't really know the subject. And then this disciple said, he's a cheater, Srila Prabhupada. He's a cheater. So Srila Prabhupada said, my disciple is calling you a cheater, you know. So, yeah, everyone wants to feel very proud of their knowledge. But in actuality, we take to, like what Maharaj said, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And if our conclusions fall in line with these, and then we are saying the proper things. But yeah, the propensity to cheat others, it's one of the defects. And yeah, Srila Prabhupada, I think he said we just simply repeat what we've heard and read from his books. And that's one of the ways to counter it. That's the best I can do, Vijay Krishna Prabhu. Do you have any thoughts?
Yes, I have a thought. Srila Prabhupada, because of the scientists, Srila Prabhupada used to ask them, do it now. And they would react to Srila Prabhupada by saying, no, in the future it will happen. In the future we will do it. No, you do it now. And if you don't do it now, Srila Prabhupada would say, you're no better than a rascal, a cheater.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Govardhana Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
And this sentence of, we'll do it in the future, is bluffing, They can't do it. They really can't.
It's a revelation of how incompetent they are as scientists. Instead of surrendering to what you just said, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, they try to do it by their own. Mm-hmm. And when they see that they can do it, they go for the using of such an argument. Oh, in the future we will get there. And then, like I just said, Srila Prabhupada would say, no, not in the... We Hare Krishnas, we give you right now the answer. Mm-hmm. But why are you making me wait for me to get it in the future? I want it right now because I am giving my answers to you right now. So that's the difference between fake science and Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra science. We can give to the people immediately the answers in the ultimate sense. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Balaram Prabhu.
Yeah, in many of the writings of our acharyas, the principle of pride has been written about extensively, and desire for respect and so on. And they write some quite heavy things. Like that article from Srimad Bhagavatam Thakur. It was quite a heavy article. I mean, I liked it a lot. It was great. I mean, you hear such things. I think it's from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He makes the point, if one identifies, because I was speaking with one devotee about this principle, and the devotee was bringing up this quote from Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one of his songs, that if one thinks oneself a sannyasi, they identify like that. Yes, I'm a sannyasi. Or if you want to say like a guru type of figure or something like that, then they'll think, yes, I deserve respect, and I'm giving people my remnants and so on. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, oh, such a person signs himself up for hell. It's like really intense. But then we looked into that verse. I looked into the verse, and it doesn't just say if one identifies oneself as a sannyasi, and therefore they think themselves like, worthy of respect, but it says if one thinks oneself a Vaishnava, and they think, yes, I'm a Vaishnava, and therefore people take my remnants and so on, and like setting yourself up. But there's a lot of talk about this, like extensive writing about this principle. And of course we hear about lust, anger, greed, and so on, but specifically with this principle there's a lot said. So why is it so much spoken about? Why is it considered so evil and so wrong? Such an emphasis on it?
Well, my answer would be, just by putting on tilak, chanting Hare Krishna, having our hands in our bead bag, that doesn't really qualify us as a real Vaishnava, Another thing too, when I was preparing this false prestige, it also mentioned how the great acharyas, they were thinking, I'm the servant of the servant, and then this devotee mentioned Srila Prabhupada, he took out 1,000 servants of servants, like he took that, and just simple servants of the servants of the servants of the gopis. So I think just to be safe, we should consider ourselves to be the humble servants of the servants. Not even a Vaishnava, Srila Prabhupada says to be a servant of God, it's actually very difficult, Anyone want to add to this? Yes, Dravira Prabhu.
You read Srila Prabhupada's books and you hear lectures, you often hear not only that you have these 4 propensities, one of which is to cheat, the last is to cheat, but he always repeats the thing that the conditioned soul wants to be cheated. You ever read that? That it wants to be cheated, and I've always wondered about that. And I think what he's saying there is that there's a tendency, you've committed yourself to a certain illusory sense of yourself and identity and all of these different things. And you're living on that basis. It's a false basis because you're really a spirit soul and everything, we know that. But still, your whole identity is wrapped up with that. And it's a big thing to suddenly, say, no, I'm not that, which is the first lesson of the Gita. You're none of these things identify with the body, but actually you're a spirit soul. And so it's a big step to take. So the false ego, to protect itself, wants to be cheated, not maybe consciously. Let me look around and find more ways to be cheated, but wants to maintain that illusory identity, and other people are ready to do that, especially if there's advantage to be taken, right? Because when you're exploiting others, and either economically or in many other ways, then there's a certain momentum that happens there, and people can continue to stay in that role, then that's advantageous to you. But at the same time, it's frightening to suddenly realize, to suddenly contemplate the fact that my whole construct of identity is wrong. Mm-hmm. So the false ego and the mind, conditioned mind, wants to be cheated in the sense that wants people to deal with me on the level that, in my false identity, so that'll be reinforced. Because it's a big thing to suddenly wake up, to the truth of Krishna consciousness. I've been living a lie for thousands of births, And if you're not ready to take on your real identity, because it means surrender and all these things, then you take refuge in your false identity. And that's what I think it means by wanting to be cheated. Anyway, it's something that I was thinking about as we go through these four things.
Whenever I hear the cheater and cheated, it reminds me of, the woman, she wants to have a child by a so-called sadhu. And then the sadhu's putting on the saffron and wants to, mess around with the women, so the cheater and the cheated. Balaram, you want to add something? About the, even identifying as a Vaishnav?
Or just like you were bringing up, why stress it as much as it's stressed? What's the particular danger, considering how often it's brought up? What's the danger?
Yeah, the danger of pride, what we're talking about. I mean, like if we look at different, for example, you look at Chaitanya Charitamrita and you look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, the Shikshashakam, and then one of the things he mentions is there, as we hear, Trinadapi Sunichita, one should be was it more humble than a blade of grass? Is that the more tall than a tree, and so on? So we shouldn't desire any respect, but give all respects to others, and so on. So it's obviously very important to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, because it's in those 8 instructions, which, of course, his followers expanded on, Rupa Goswami and so on. But you see in Chaitanya Leela, people, the problem with pride is people, we see this in Chaitanya Leela, like you have Ramchandra Puri. He was so proud. He was thinking he knew better than his spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri, and therefore he was instructing him, and so on. And it resulted in a terrible thing, that he became full of material desire, and it just goes really down from there. Mm-hmm. Starts criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and so on. And you have so many other examples of that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, or you have examples of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. There was many disciples who had difficult time, like following things, principles, but those who kept respect for him as an acharya, as their spiritual master, many of them, over time, they're able to overcome things and advance in Krishna consciousness. But those who displayed pride and arrogance, they thought they knew better than Srila Prabhupada. They didn't take his instructions seriously. That's the real problem, because how are you supposed to advance if you're not taking somebody's instructions seriously? You're not hearing from them. And therefore, it's just more disastrous. And I've seen this with many. I've seen this personally also, and I've known many devotees who have a hard time, in different ways. But those who have pride were just really kind of chewed up and spit out, and out in the material energy. But those I've seen many times, those who struggle in different ways, but they remain humble and just really try, then over time they're able to advance. So therefore this pride is so bad, because what it could do to somebody, versus other things. So that's some thought.
You want to add something?
One thing I was thinking of when Balaram was talking is that this doesn't really not answering the question of why talk about it so much, why do acharyas bring it up so much? But I was just thinking, or appreciating how it's brought up so much, because if it was not brought up in Shastra, and if it was not brought up in commentary in the writings of the acharyas, I don't know how much it would, how easy it would be to reform ourselves, or even just be reminded that we need to reform ourselves in this regard. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in that article was saying, you overcome desire for British to overcome this false prestige by sadhu sangha. But the difficulty there is that for many people, maybe you could say for I think you could say for most people, sadhu sangha is may not help you with your false prestige. At least, I mean, you could be around just for like a few years and already get yourself situated where no one's going to correct you. You know, I mean, there are people who are like, it would look like they are like thoroughly mixed and like thoroughly engaged in sadhu sangha like every day, you know, but they are not getting anywhere in terms of overcoming false prestige by that sadhu sangha, because they've closed themselves off to that, to that sadhu sangha's like advice. They aren't open to correction. They aren't open to even suggestion, and just even suggestion like deeply offends, you know. And you could say, well, it's due to false prestige that I'm not open to correction, suggestion, and therefore no one's gonna even, you know, even try to approach, you know, my false prestige. I remember, so, I mean, even I remember Balaram had to talk to me about something one time, and he said, like, you know, I don't want to, like, it's awkward trying to kind of you're on eggshells, like, tiptoeing around someone's false ego, you know? Yeah, I mean, I see it for myself how many people really bring up. I mean, by sadhu sangha, what are the immediate? Like some of the immediate benefits is like your like crude behavior is adjusted, because it's like it's all external. It's obvious that you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this externally. But internally, like it's almost like, you know, you're free. You know, you're at least free because it's, you know, internal. Maybe people can't see it, but then not only that. It could even become externally manifest. People can see the false prestige in what you say, what you do, just as you were saying, the look on your face, you know, you can see the false prestige on your face, you know. But even if you have satsanga, who's going to actually approach it, you know? So at least it's fortunate, because even if you're in that situation where you're engaged in sadhu sangha every day thoroughly, but no one's really coming close to you, no one dares approach your false prestige, at least it's there in the Shastra, at least it's there in the commentary of the Acharyas, at least the Acharyas you might take seriously and question your pride or question your mood with others in your mood and your service. I was appreciating it's nice that it comes up.
Thank you so much.
Practically, we would say that it's not real sadhu sangha, or it's some type of shallow sadhu sangha, just like friendship. You could have some type of friendship, but maybe it's not real friendship, or some type of shallow friendship. But when speaking about, like Bhakti said, Srila Prabhupada would say we should beat our mind with a broomstick every morning, and quoting his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And in a lecture, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he talks about this more, and he says, in the morning, we should remind ourselves, you know, like, that I am full of faults. There's so many different faults I have, and I shouldn't be quick to find faults with others and declare myself a, you know, authentic bhakta, which certainly I'm not. And he quotes some song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because many of his songs he expresses the faults of a conditioned soul and how he feels he has that and so on. So he said we should always remember these things and constantly engage in Hari Kirtan, chanting, and so on, service. And he says such ideas of feeling myself great, and specifically like finding faults with others and thinking myself a devotee, he said that's not the proper attitude. That's an attitude of deceitful persons. He said, not preachers. So they should have the opposite attitude. So yeah, but it's amazing how much is talked about. So, anyways.
Thank you so much. And when you mentioned, you know, friendship, I think Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said, anyone who praises me is an enemy, and one who criticizes or corrects me is a friend. So we should have the proper mindset, and when someone corrects or chastises, that, you know, and it's coming from a good place, that we need to grow better, you know. Thank you for everyone's contribution. Thank you for your association and wonderful comments. I live to be corrected, exactly. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.